Peace and blessings, Vibe Tribe. It's on once again. It's going up. It is yours truly, Baka John Boy, my wife, Amani John Boy. We are EY Pele Movement. EY Pele Movement, we focus on your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. And this is part 4 of the episode, Spiritual Decolonization. Okay, and we're touching on this series to help you to evolve. We're breaking up the fallow ground in our minds, and what we're focusing on is helping people to come out of the incarcerating mentalities that they have that's keeping them from evolving. And this ministry, we're focusing on detoxing, get rid of those toxicities in our mentalities that's keeping us from evolving and being the spiritual being our higher selves, which simply means being your divine self, being who you really are. Okay, so always keep this in mind, that the person you see in the mirror is not you. Okay, so the example I like to use is if your body, okay, hit the ground and your spirit left, okay, you'll notice that it's not you. So that means if your spirit leaves your body and your body hit the ground, that means that body is just a vehicle to transport you while you're here in this earth. Okay, remember, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. We thank you all so much for tuning in on this evening. For those who's tuning in on YouTube, those who's tuning in on Facebook, thank you so much. Remember also to follow us on Instagram. Okay, so we get ready to kick this things off here in a brief moment. But before that, we're going to go to a short commercial break. All right, Queen, the mic is yours.
Well, thank you. I just want to give thanks to our ancestors. I want to give thanks to the everyone that's tuned in today for our episode number 4 of Spiritual Decolonization. And this one is Divine Consciousness, Pathway to Ascension. I also want to say Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. I hope you had a miraculous, blessed day. And I hope you have many more. So we're just going to get right into it. We're not going to be before you long. We just want to touch on a few things because there will be a part 2 of this Divine Consciousness, Pathway to Ascension. Last episode on Whose God Are You Serving, we looked at 2 of the gods or netters of our ancestors, and we took a look at the colonizer's God. We laid out the facts and evidence that would prove that their God and our God could not be answering their prayers to oppress us and our prayers to free us. Therefore, we came to the conclusion that their God was different in nature than the one of our ancestors called the divine. In today's episode, number 4, Divine Consciousness, Pathway to Ascension, Part 1. We will be coming from a Twa, Kushite, Kemetic, Ancient Egypt, Yoruba, Igbo, Akan perspective. We will be discussing the divine nature that resides on the inside of us. We will show you exactly where it's located and how to tap into your destiny. I don't know what. All right. Each of us is seen as a spirit who has taken human form in order to carry out specific divine purposes here in this earth realm. Spirit is the energy that keeps us connected to our Creator and our ancestors by Baba Kameen. Now, I just want to tell you a brief story or give you some scenarios of what I mean by we're divinely connected on this side to the heavens, so to speak, or to the spiritual realm. There are oftentimes, my husband and myself, we're very spiritual people, and we get what you call premonitions and promptings in our spirit in order to do certain things, to go certain places, to say certain things. And we have been having these interactions probably for the vast majority of our lives. So, I mean, half the time we're like, well, something told me this and something told me that, or I knew it, or I can pick him up. His energy in the realm of this, we call it the realm of the spirit, or he can pick up my energy in the realm of the spirit, so to speak. But there is something on the inside of us, is something on the inside of this human body that allows us to be able to connect simultaneously with the spiritual realm. And in the spirit, we know that there's no time, there's no, all of that is obliterated, right? But that thing, the creator placed it on the inside of us. We're going to talk about that today. Intuition. Some call it intuition, some call it spirit told me, or whatever the case may be. But intuition is directly connected with a higher form of knowing, knowledge that goes beyond the emotional and passionate sense or feeling. It is a form of immediate innate knowledge. I mean, knowledge like that, you know, some knowledge you can pick up a phone number, some knowledge you just walk up next to a person and then you know, simply because of this thing that the divine has placed on the inside of us. It is this form of immediate innate knowledge that wisdom is gained without reasoning or having to think about. You don't even have to think about it. I never forget, I had a coworker, had worked with her for years, and I was just sitting on one side of the podium and she was sitting on the next side, and she stood up and I looked at her, and when I looked at her, I don't know where this came from, it just blurted out of my mind. I said, "Are you cheating on your husband?" And, I mean, it just came out, and she looked at me kind of funny. But, you know, it's nothing that I asked. It wasn't my business, and it just came out my mouth. Come to find out, yes, she had been in a 3-year relationship. So, but these are the type of things that you can kind of pick up. You know, you'll get knowledge and you'll get wisdom on how to relate that to a person, or if you have to or need to relay these things to people. You know, you'll get into the habit of asking your inner self, is this something that I'm supposed to say to her? Is this something that I'm supposed to do, or what have you? And oftentimes when you do have that communication with your inner self, some call it higher self, some call it divine consciousness, some call it their God self. When you begin to commune and communicate, you will be led. Now, it's the next point is, if it is disobeyed, your intuition, and wrong decisions were made, it would give negative results, sometimes permanent results. You know, your first mind and your gut feeling say don't go this way, and you go that way, something may happen. You know, your first mind may tell you, you know, don't go to this stop, or do this, or don't do that, or what have you. You know, you have to be in constant contact with this divine self, with this, you know, we say intuition here. There is a way that you can build up yourself and to build up your communication in order to get on the correct frequency of your divine self. And we called it, of course, here, your first mind or your gut feeling, right? And when you have the ability to tap into this powerful God force, we need to be well aware of the powers. This is the God force that we possess, and this is the God force that they also will give you fluoride in order to, how can I say it, in order to cancel out this or calcify. They call it your pineal gland or your first eye. They'll give you fluoride in your water. They'll give you fluoride in your toothpaste. So you have to be conscious of this thing that you have to care for. And I'm going to show you exactly how our ancestors cared for this divine self. Through tapping in this triad, you'll be able to tap into and develop the 7 gifts of the spirit. And the triad is the ka, is the breath of the soul, the ba and the body. The ba is the individualized aspect of the spirit and the body, the part of God that's on the inside of us. The ka is the container that's holding this part of God that's on the inside of us. And we're going to talk about that. Trusting your inner intuition is connecting to the Natamayat. It is accessing wisdom from within. You would have to think as our ancestors thought, and that is the very viewed as they viewed all aspects of our physical life from the soul having a human experience. As my king stated, that we are having a human experience. The real you is the entity that animates the physical body. The soul is the real you that is eternal. And the reason I put up this Netaru and these Orisha, because we're speaking from a perspective of our ancestors. You know, before all of, you know, we were moved over here or forced over here, you know, there was a system in place that our ancestors connected to. And not only was it a groundbreaking system, it is a system that most of the religions have based their doctrine and dogma off. It's because they stole it from our ancient ancestors. So the Orisha and the Netaru, they're characteristics of the divine creator. The Netaru are also the personifying forces that depicted thoughts and ideas about nature. The purpose of the Netaru is to guide humans to make the best choices of life. And also Netaru and Orisha, they can represent the different organs and different systems in the body. You will see also that, you know, Netaru and Orishas, you know, some call them gods or what have you, but our ancestors use these things to, you know, to shape what they were saying. You would have a human with a falcon head. Why? Because a falcon could go way up high and swoop down low or what have you. You didn't see a man walking around with a bird head. You know, those were different depictions of what they were trying to say about that individual, or what that person was assigned to do. You know, my husband, we always talk about Newt and Geb. You know, I don't have it here, but it was just, that's their name. The sky and the earth. That was their name. You know what I'm saying? So when you see these different pictures and they look kind of strange, everything about that particular picture has a significance and it has a meaning. If it's wings, if it's a scepter in their hand, it means something. If it's something on their head, it means something. Those are the things that you're going to have to go and do your research about to see what you can find out about, you know, those particular objects that they have. When I spoke with you about, you know, the three parts that made up a whole, the Ba, which is the soul, the Ka, which is the life force, which is fused with the Ba, and it's the spirit, right? And we can call it spirit, soul, and body. You know what I'm saying? But our ancient ancestors had a way of showing that. This guy with this thing on his head, he represented, let's see what he represented. The ancestors believe that there are 7 dimensions of the soul: the Ka, the Ba, the Kaba, the Aku, the Seb, the Ptah, and the Atum. And this gentleman with this thing on his head, he represented with the two arms up was the Ka. The 2 arms up like that was the Ka. Then you see the bird over here with the man's head, that was the Ba. And most of the things that they spoke about, it had a lot to do with them living life after death. You see what I'm saying? The ancestors believed in reincarnation. The colonizer believed in frying you in forever. You see what I'm saying? And that's why it's being said that the Abrahamic religions are the only one that put forth the doctrine of burning forever in hell. The rest of the people believed in souls being recycled. The root word ka means to touch, to bring into contact with, to join, to cause, to be active, to perceive by the sense of feeling are all the functions of ka. Like I said, the two arms and the hands of the ka touch. Join us to the divine consciousness. It is the ka that joins us to the divine consciousness of the divine. And it causes us to be spiritually and consciously active. It allows us to perceive by the sense of feeling. The ka, called the kra in a kan, is the ori inu in Yoruba. It's the chi in Igbo. And in these cultures and all across of Africa, the ka, the ori inu, the chi, etc., is recognized to be the person's own deity. We're going to get into that right now. The ka, or the inner self, your soul, you know what I'm saying? The thing that's sitting in heaven, he's seated in heavenly places, where you get your commune with the Father. It is deified. It is considered a god to our ancient ancestors. I'm going to read as the time go on, as I go on, but they say nothing comes before your Yoruba say your ori. They say if the Orisha come and tell you something, your ori is the number one answer that you go with. If your husband tell you something, you go with your ori. If any other god come and tell you something, they say you go with your ori, your soul, your mind, your first gut. You go with that first. So, but they also say you can't just, listen to any other voice. You have to have cultivated this where it's your ori, or that it's your soul. It's what's communicating. It's your higher self that's speaking with you. It is said that the ka would reside in the body with the deceased in the tomb for a period of time. This is because before the spirit of the individual is connected with his ka, he left the physical world to go to the ancestral world. The relatives of the deceased would come and put ritual offerings, including food at the graveside, tombs. This was means by the family, which the family could facilitate communication with the spirit of their deceased relatives for various reasons. So therefore, they did these things, and they continued to communicate with the ba of the deceased person even after they were gone on. Yoruba. It says here, a human person is like a mask and possess a mask-like dimension of the visible interior that conceals an interior soul or spirit that constitutes the being and essence of that person. The Yoruba metaphor of the inner head, the ori inu, and the outside physical head, the ori ode, represents two interconnected realms in the human person. So it's telling you the ori is what the Yoruba called it. It is that thing that guides. It said the Yoruba religion focuses on the worship of the Orisha, this ori, because of the belief that they act on the behalf. The Yoruba religion focuses on the worship of the Orisha because of the belief that they act on behalf of Olodumare, who is too exalted to be approached directly. Yet Olodumare is indirectly involved in the day-to-day life of an individual through their ori, through their head, which is also called the ori inu. It's one's guardian angel. It's the guardian spirit in this physical world. The Ori that we said that they deitize, that they worship and they speak to, that the Ori is the number one God, so to speak. It works with you on a daily basis. Thus, in the past, every adult Yoruba dedicated an altar to the Ori Inu. This practice continues today in rural areas. And like I said, the Ori is far above any, or the Orisha. And I know in the Bible or what have you, tell you don't put any other God before me or what have you. And the Ori or the Yoruba say, listen, if your spirit or that first mind tell you to go left, you better go left. I don't care what any other God is telling you. I don't care what any other whatever is telling you. You have to go with your first mind. This is what our ancestors, the Yoruba, are saying. The Ori as our personal deity is invoked. It's worship. We ship or send our words through this Ori. Our sounds and our vibrations, which resound our unique configuration of spiritual energy, this is transmitted by our Ori. This word ship or worship, as evidenced in the quotes above, the practice of establishing a shrine or communication with and purification of the Ori. You know, they constantly purified their mind. You understand what I'm saying? And what I'm getting at when I say they constantly purified their mind, that means that we here today that's practicing any kind of spirituality must recognize that it's our Ori or our brain that connects us with the heavens, and we must purify it. We must, quote unquote, sanctify it. We must keep that communication going where we're meditating, we're praying, you know what I'm saying? And we're getting to the place of quietness where we can hear from the divine. Here's just a saying, the African god of spiritual intuition and destiny, which literally means head. That's our Ori. And the ancestors, a lot of times in Africa or whatever, you'll see them touching their head. They'll be like, oh, you know, they'll sit there, they'll pray, they'll hold their head, because it is the Ori that's leading and guiding them. It is this head that's leading and guiding them. So this prayer to Ori say, Ori, the competent creator, he who is faster in aiding one than the Orisha, he who instantly remembers his devotee. Ori is valuable. Ori is higher than all Orisha. No Orisha can favor one without the consent of one's Ori. It is Ori that aids one for one to be crowned the money. It is Ori that bless. And one of my old teachers say, you want this, you want wealth, you better ask your Ori. You want a car, you better ask your Ori. And it say, Ori, I call on you. Ori, guide me. Ori, support me. Ori, support my abundance. Ori, support my children. Ori, support my relationship. Ori, protect my house. Why are the ancestors asking their first mind this again? Because they realize that their inner man is connected. You see what I'm saying? To the spirit realm. It's connected to the area of infinite possibilities. They realize that they get all their answers from there. You see what I'm saying? From the spirit world. And it's through the divine. It's through what they call their head, our head, or what have you. It's seated. I had some diagrams. I said I wasn't going to go in depth like that. And then this is another thing, seated in heavenly places. This is the temple. You know, when we say that God lives on the inside of you, you know what I'm saying? This is what we're talking about. And it say when the individual communicates with his Ori, he asks his Ori for guidance throughout his life. His Ori will communicate to the individual and give direction based on what was encoded by the divine in the beginning. The divine will communicate with them in regards to the matter that reflects its nature, as the Ori is conditioned to lead and to guide us. Anything of a true higher reality bring one's mind closer to universal consciousness of God. You know, there's many levels of beingness, and souls correspond to each level. And to go higher, we have to prepare ourselves. We have to, again, you know, just because we're no longer quote unquote Christian, don't mean that you don't have to live right. There's some consequences and repercussions. There's laws of reciprocity. There's universal laws that will take place. You know, you still have to remain in divine alignment, line up with truth. You know, and as we say, mayat, you know what I'm saying? You still have to remain lined up. You can't have a lying tongue. You know what I mean? You can't be going, as Mayat say, you can't be going with other people's husband. You see what I'm saying? So I won't go into the Akan. The Akan, they call their Ori or their soul the Okra. And it's very, all of these different spiritual systems of our ancestors, they're in line. They're saying that the Okra, the soul, is the very essence of God and human beings and all living things. They're all in line. They're saying that this is the thing that guides you. This is the thing that takes care of you. You have got to take care of your soul. You have got to guard your soul. You understand what I'm saying? You can't put everything in your ears. You can't let your eyes see everything. You can't be in attendance of everything when you're guarding your soul. You see what I'm saying? So still, even on this side, when dealing with our ancestors and our ancestors' spiritual system, we still have to remain in divine alignment, right? We still have to remain in that place where we can hear. Like I said, meditate, pray, you know, and then there's positions of prayer that we haven't gotten into or anything like that. So I just want to say this also, you know, just as a side note, because that was basically my last one. I'm just going to say that, you know, in my closing, you know, I think about this thing so much about, you know, us and our spiritual system and the spiritual system of the ancestors and what happened to us, the fact that we're no longer connected. And I think to myself and I say, you know, why should I take another man's religion over the religion of my ancestors? Why should I go to your church and sit and lay down and pray to your ancestors and to your gods? You know what I'm saying? That's not connected to me. Why would I do that when I have my own spiritual system? Why, when I have my own ancestors to pay homage to? You see what I'm saying? It's almost, to me, it's like going and you got a husband and you taking care of somebody else's husband and you're not taking care of your own. You see what I'm saying? That in their eyes, it's okay to do it their way. But the minute that you do it to pay homage to our ancestors, it's witchcraft. You see what I'm saying? They can walk through the cathedral with a pint of frankincense and myrrh smoke going everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Going in the church, you know what I'm saying? But the minute that you put a frankincense and myrrh in your house, it's witchcraft. The minute that you go and get you some sage, it's witchcraft. The minute you burn a candle, it's witchcraft. Everything about our spiritual system, everything about us and our native land has been demonized. We have to realize that it's all a trick. And like we always say, it's a trick of the enemy. You see what I'm saying? It's a trick to get us disconnected from where we really need to be. Now, I'm just going to say this here. It's some folk that look like me and look like you out there that's going to tell you something different. But like I stated in before, you know, things have been so misinterpreted and so politicized within the book. You really have to have some discerning to see what's right and what's wrong. They, like I say, they sold you on this thing about hell and all this other kind of stuff, and they're holding it over your head. But once you get to know, the further you get away from the foolery, and to get closer to who you are, to get to know who you are, the closer you get to your ancestors, the more you begin to change. Your mind begin to change. See, that's what they don't want. They don't want your mind to change. They don't want your eyes to open. They're going to call you woke. They're going to call you everything. But it's up to you to find out who you are and what you are and get back to the God of our native land, to the God of our ancestors, right? So that was about it. Because that thing had me stirred up. I refuse to bow down to anybody else's God, you know, and you know, it would be the God of my ancestors. It would be my ancestors that I speak with. It would be my Ori that I speak with. You know, I don't care if you call it whatever you call it, but just know that it answers prayers. All right. So that's my closing. I just thank everybody that came out, that stuck around. You can go and get the replay. It was something brief. It was just talking about the soul and that thing that we need to cultivate and tend to daily, pray daily in regards to this thing. This is the thing that's leading and guiding you. This is where you're getting your answers from. So it would behoove you to find out more. It would behoove you to ask every question that you have. One thing that the Spirit told me one time, I was sitting in church, I promise you, the people were fainting and laying out and speaking in tongues and all over the floor and stuff like that. And I was there, you know, I had the sheet, you know, waiting on people, you know, as they fall and stuff. And the Spirit said to me, just as plain as say, I'm going to say it was my Ori. Say, you don't ask enough questions. What's going on here? You don't ask enough questions. And then so when you think about it, you're like, okay, is the devil is talking to me while I'm in service. You know, I rebuke you. Get these hints, Satan. These people got the Spirit of God. But it was at that very time that my Ori said, you don't ask enough questions. So I behoove you. It would behoove you to ask the questions, to get the answers, right? To do your research. Research Ori. Go ahead and do research soul, research all of that. So that was about it. And honey.
Job well done. Job well done. That was absolutely phenomenal. Mother Ufe Dojo, thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah. Modupe, yeah.
Absolutely.
As we would say in our tongue over in Sierra Leone, the Mende, Tinky. Tinky, yeah. Tinky, yeah.
Yes.
All right, family. So again, thank you for tuning in to this session. All right, on this upcoming Thursday, okay, we're going to be dealing with manhood. Okay, brother Baba Imhotep is coming on, and as my queen discussed about, go back, right? So we need to return back to manhood. A lot of us, we have a misconception about what manhood looks like. Okay, we're going to address that. Okay, queens, we've heard your cries. Okay, we've heard your cries. You know, my wife, she chuckling because she like, where the men at? What the men? Put the brothers out in the front. And there's more than one, you know, sister that says that. And in all seriousness, we do have to detoxify our mindset from the toxic mentality that we have about manhood. And so Brother Baba Imhotep and I, being that we're loving husbands, we love our wives, we're involved in our children's life. Okay, we're more examples for them. Our wives celebrate us. Okay, our wives speak well of us. Okay, so with that being said, I believe that qualifies us. Absolutely. Okay, being that we have raised children, you know, I have going on a 24-year-old son who I've been in his life, you know, since day one.
Yes.
Still in his life. Okay, and in my stepchildren's life and my grandchildren's life, right?
Absolutely.
You know, an example for my stepson and stepdaughter and granddaughters and grandsons, right?
Absolutely.
So this is what we need. We need educational tools like this right here And it's time for us men to step out in the forefront and start teaching our men. Again, like I said, on Men Day, okay, and we have a secret society called Poro, all right, where it's all about training men to know how to hold their place within the village, okay? And as I always say, the family makes up the village, and the village makes up the nation. So in order for us to have a strong nation, village, okay, we have to have a strong family. And that means that the man and the woman needs to be in place. However, this upcoming Thursday, we're going to be talking about the men, and it's not going to be none about this. What about the women? What? No, about you. Okay, women will have their time. My wife and Mama Ifu Dojo, they're going to come together.
Yes.
Those are going to come together, and they're going to have a women's session for y'all. But on this Thursday, it's going to be for the men. Yes. Okay, it's time for us to stop calling our women female dogs, and stop calling them whores, and okay, stop calling them all type of derogatory terms. And it's time for us to stop thinking that our pants sagging is cool. And it's time to stop abandoning our children, okay, and abandoning our children because we don't get along with the mama. And we're going to talk about these things. So tune in on Thursday. We're going to do a deep dive on Thursday. And our brother Imhotep have a book here, and it's called African Manhood in the 21st Century. Again, African Manhood in the 21st Century. Author Baba Imhotep is going to be in the building. Okay, so make sure you tune in. Make sure you tag a man, okay, that needs to hear it, a young man that needs to hear it, okay, because we're going to be going in, and it's going to be going up. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Queen, do you have any last words before we close out, sweetheart?
No, not at all. Thank you guys for thank everyone. And again, happy Mother's Day to everyone. I'm sure there's going to be some replays or what have you, but we love you, and we thank you so much for taking out your time to join us.
Okay, family, peace and blessings. May you have a blessed rest of your evening, and may your week be the same. We'll see you on Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, Facebook Live and on YouTube.